The More Show is in partnership with Ozark Mountain Publishing, taking readers beyond the unexplained.
If you like what you watch, then don't forget to follow us on Facebook and Twitter for the latest updates on The More Show. Remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel for new weekly television and radio shows.
The More Show is supported by Mindscape, Paranormal and UFO Matrix magazines, available for download on all major digital platforms. The comments and views expressed on The More Show are those of the people that make them and do not necessarily reflect the view of Kevin Moore, The More Show, or this radio station and its affiliate or sponsors. This show is for entertainment purposes only.
Broadcasting live from the UK and across the world online. You're now listening to the UK's only live alternative late night talk show, and I'm Kevin Moore. For the next 3 hours, I'll be covering subjects that will open up your mind and provide you with information you may have never heard before. On tonight's show, I'll be speaking to the host of the John Wayne Psychic Show, broadcast from Detroit. Author and TV medium Wayne Isaacs will join us to discuss his new book, I'm Not Mad, I'm a Psychic. And internationally published best-selling psychic author John G Sutton will come on to discuss his book, Psychic Pets. We are live every Tuesday, Thursday and Saturday from 1 AM to 4 AM British Summer Time. That's Monday, Wednesday and Friday, 8 PM to 11 PM Eastern Daylight Time in America. I'm now joined by Wayne Isaacs, who is a well-known face on psychic television. His latest book, I'm Not Mad, I'm a Psychic, tells his incredible story from a childhood where he was hearing voices, seeing visions, accumulating information without resource to any identifiable source. They said he was mad. Wayne was not mad. Wayne was a psychic medium. Wayne, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, Kevin. Good to be back on your show. How are you?
I'm very well, Wayne. It sounds like you've had a very busy time since we last spoke.
Yeah, well, the last time we met you, obviously we did the show, it was about a couple of years ago, but yeah, a lot has been happening, and I've got to tell you, a lot of things that have happened have not been planned. They've just literally come at me without any notice, I suppose, really. I've just been led, really, all this way. I mean, I've not looked for any of this. It's just appeared in front of my eyes.
Okay, yes, it's because it's been a couple of years since you've been on the show. So Wayne, it's not easy, is it, being a medium? It's not an easy job, is it?
It's not an easy job. It's not something that you leave school at, 16 and think, you know what, I will be a psychic medium and have a career at this, and it's certainly not something that you go into lightly. I was in property from when I left school. I was in property for 24 years, and I didn't plan on becoming a psychic medium. In fact, I really didn't know that I was a psychic medium until later on in my life. A lot of people start off a lot younger than me, but I believe at the age of 30, when I really got into it, that was quite late. But I had been through a lot of things in life, before becoming a psychic medium.
I mean, do you wish sometimes that there was a better understanding from the general public on what you do? I mean, it's still not the mainstream, it's still not the norm, is it? And it's unfortunate, really, because I think people like yourself walk around with this great gift and they're very misunderstood.
Yeah, I mean, it's very hard to convince everybody. Some people that just, have the doors closed, that don't believe. You cannot force that. You cannot. It's not like a religion where you can actually push it on people and try and change someone's beliefs on and views. The way I look at it, you're only as good as your last reading. and we, or myself as a medium, try and give evidence and proof of the afterlife, that life does go on. And the only way we can do that is by giving the messages on a day-to-day basis and helping as many people as we can, by giving them evidence. And when I say evidence, it does open up a big topic there, because, you know, what do you class as evidence? Well, certainly validations of things that you couldn't possibly get by chance. You couldn't possibly guess names, dates, accurate places, and things that would only, you know, come from that person that they loved very, very much, who is still alive on the spirit side of life.
Now, how did your family initially take your mediumistic gifts? I mean, it was very negative to begin with, wasn't it, I believe?
Yeah, well, that's right. I mean, you know, they thought I was mad. I mean, they thought I was maybe hearing voices, maybe I was schizophrenic, you know, maybe there was a lot, you know, things not right with me. And, you know, at the age of 21, you know, I was in a psychiatric unit, you know, with medication, totally being suppressed by all the spiritual messages and thoughts and feelings I was getting, that I really couldn't, you know, at the age of 21, I mean, going back at that time, psychic and mediums were not really on TV. It was not something that you could go and get advice or talk openly to, you know, to anyone about it. You know, when I tried to talk to my parents about it, you know, I remember my dad saying to me, "Oh, shut up about talking about spirits. You know, you're crazy. You know, why are you talking about this? You know, this," because I think as parents, they you know, they bring you up into this world, and they want you to be like them in their, you know, in the way they think and their beliefs.
Okay. I mean, do you meet parents nowadays that have, you know, children with this gift as well? And do you find that, having gone through the process that you went through, that you're able to sort of help them with the challenge of having, you know, this child with these special gifts?
Certainly not helping the kids, because I think we've got to be, you know, careful with, you know, the readings that we do. I certainly read for adults, so parents.
Well, that's
yes.
that's what I meant.
Yeah.
I'm saying is, for the adults that you give the readings to, do you find that some come forward with children that have this gift, like you did?
Absolutely, yes, and a lot of people are giving me feedback on the book, because a lot of the information about me growing up with the gift is all in the book, and a lot of people can relate to it, especially people that work in hospitals and in mental health. They, you know, they're reading this book, and they're kind of understanding what I went through. And, you know, to put, you know, the thing I've got to say to you, Kevin, to put this information in this book is very personal, it's very deep, and it's, although it's a spiritual book, there aren't many books out there where a psychic medium will put all their personal stuff in. And I really wanted to uncover everything and let everything out that was in me for so long, you know, my true story. I wanted to get it out in black and white, and that's what I've done. And you know, the book is doing very, very well all over the world now, so I am pleased that I've managed to do that.
Okay, so it was a bit of a process writing the book as well for yourself. I mean, you got some skeletons out the closet as such?
Well, yeah, I did, and to be honest with you, I can't, you know, although I wrote the book, and, you know, I wrote it with John G Sutton, you know, it took us you know, quite a while to get all this, you know, into a book. I could not have written the book by myself, because I'm not a writer, and it was a question of somebody abstracting all this information out of me and then putting it into a book, word to word, because I said my writing skills are not that good. But yeah, there are a lot of hidden, you know, skeletons there, and I think, you know, when you when you go through what I've been through, and you know, to hell and back, to get to where you have been to, I think a lot of people can read the book and relate to it,
Yeah.
but also understand maybe that they're not mad and they are psychic, you know, as well.
Okay, okay. Now you've done a lot of TV work as well, but you've moved away from that now, have you not? And you've moved on to radio as such.
Yeah, I've taken a leaf out of your book, Kevin, and
Oh, right, okay.
and
I wouldn't suggest it.
and doing radio and doing radio. No, well, I mean, to be honest with you, I got a call from a company called ESO TV to go and do a new psychic TV show, and it was being filmed in Budapest. I didn't know what it was. I just, they booked a flight for me. I went out there, and then the producers of the show said to me, "Oh, by the way, you're going to be on TV3, which is the second largest channel in Ireland." And I had no idea. It was a new show, new concept, and I would be opening up the show. Well, lo and behold, I opened up this show, and there was one video clip that somebody put on YouTube that hit 150,000 hits within a week. And it was basically that somebody had phoned up and made a prank, saying they were Will Smith, and they caught me off guard. They said your belly's hanging out in your shirt. You might want to do your shirt button up. And I looked down, of course, at the end of the this reading, and of course it was all in the newspapers, in the Star, and all the newspapers in Ireland, and it went viral on Twitter. And I think a lot of people, especially as a psychic medium, would have been quite embarrassed or hurt by that. But to me, it just shows that I am human. I have got a sense of humor, and I can take jokes, I suppose, because they weren't actually taking a joke out of my gift and what I do. It was more of what I was doing on camera, and at that time. And I had also an illusionist called Keith Barry, who offered me €50,000 to prove whether I was psychic, and that was something else that came from the show. And Keith Barry is an illusionist; he's well known in Ireland, and he's offered me €50,000. Well, absolutely fantastic, But number one, do I need €50,000? It'll be nice, but I don't need it.
Yes, but you're never going to be able to prove to anyone that's going to offer you anything like that, are you? You're never going to be able to convince them. The journey is there, and I think the journey is a personal journey to sort of come up with the idea that life does continue. I mean, has it not got to be a sort of personal journey? I mean, what do you think?
Well, absolutely. And the other thing I was going to say is the radio show in Ireland was all in with Keith Barry as well, and they wanted me to, do a reading, out of 3 envelopes, choose an envelope, do a reading, say what's in the envelope.
Yeah.
I mean, that's something that an illusionist does, like Devon Brown. It's not something that a psychic medium does. So the test within itself was.
Yeah, you don't need that kind of attention, do you? No, that's right. That's right. No. But I suppose it's a bit of a journey you've been on, though. I mean, it's obviously it's you like I said before at the beginning of this conversation, you've not chose the easiest path, but then again, it's a path of self-service, is it not, in a sense, to be able to give these messages across to people that you're connecting loved ones back together, or you're giving validation that, life continues in a sense.
Yeah. I mean, absolutely. I mean, this is something that I do every day, and, a lot of people that will, that I do read for, they generally... They need to hear messages. They need to hear that message that they can bring conclusion into their lives, and that they can move on.
Yeah.
A lot of people will go to spiritualist churches, and I'm all for spiritualist churches because I've done the circuit of spiritualist churches and I've done readings. But when you get a one-to-one personal reading, I just think you cannot beat that connection. Because you're definitely going to get a reading if that, and that connection, if that person from spirit wants to come through, because obviously they connect with us, we don't connect with them. And as a medium, all we are is the messenger. We don't know, we can't guarantee anything that something's definitely going to come through. But if we are fine-tuned, because we are an instrument, and if we are fine-tuned as an instrument, and we are really tuned, then we can give the evidence, and we can bring that loved one through, and we can give those messages. I mean, something that I work with also is jewelry and photographs belonging to that loved one as well.
Right.
In my readings as well.
Okay.
But a lot of my videos are on YouTube. I don't hide away from being a psychic medium. I don't hide. I'm actually quite proud of what I do, and I don't need to be tested. I mean, I've been offered the James Randi test. I've been offered to go to Goldsmiths University in London. They invited me down there. Come down. We want to.
But do you think that what happens? This is what happens when you open the Pandora's box of wanting to come on TV and be in the limelight as such.
Well, I think it does to a certain degree, but I think the people that want to test you, they either don't believe you, they don't understand it, you'll never win the test. And I think I'm more interested in helping people. There's so many tears in the world. I'm more interested in just getting on with the job and doing what I do and try and make it as less complicated as possible.
Yeah, absolutely. And as you've gone on in your career and, you've given readings to probably thousands of people, I would have thought, what's your view of where we go when we pass on?
Well, when we pass on, I believe we go into a different frequency. It's a different frequency as far as, as a medium, when we tap into spirit and we make that connection, we're tapping into another frequency that we cannot see. Now, of course, no one there and come back. Obviously, when people have been near death, they see the light. But my experience is we go to our soul group, which is our soul family. And I believe that we do meet up with all of our loved ones. I believe there's no restrictions on the other side of life. There's no time restrictions. There's no bodily restrictions. And really, I still believe that, what I feel is that we do have lessons still to learn when we go on to the other side of life. I don't feel it ends. I do also believe in reincarnation. I believe that we have a choice to come back as well. But I still feel it's a learning process, and I believe we're on different levels. So some people may have been on this earth plane before. It might be the first time for some people.
Okay.
Okay. But yeah, that's my theory, and I don't delve too much into that a lot because I just think you can get so lost and spend a lifetime trying to work that out.
Yeah, absolutely.
That we'll never find the answers fully.
Well, Wayne, we've got to take an ad break there, so we're going to take a short break now. But after the break, the phone lines will be open for you to speak to psychic author John G. Sutton or share your opinion. You can call us on 0292 000 3666 or text your comments and questions to 07728 758 759. International listeners outside the UK may Skype the show by adding The More Show Live, or you may choose to interact with us on Facebook and Twitter.
The More Show is in partnership with Ozark Mountain Publishing, taking readers beyond the unexplained.
Visit themoreshow.co.uk/shop to purchase products and services from your favourite past guests. If you're new to this site, you can also catch up on the previous television and radio shows through YouTube and the More Show website.
The More Show is supported by Mindscape, Paranormal and UFO Matrix magazines, available for download on all major digital platforms. Broadcasting from the studios of Radio Cardiff, you're now watching The More Show.
I'm now joined by internationally published best-selling psychic author John G. Sutton. Now, John has been featured on numerous mainstream television channels in both the UK and USA. In 1998, Walt Disney flew John to Orlando, Florida for a special guest appearance on Pittsburgh, USA, screened on Animal Planet Worldwide. John, welcome to the show.
Hello there, Kevin. Thank you for having me on tonight. It's very nice of you to invite me.
Well, thank you for joining us tonight. It's a complete pleasure to have you on, John. Now, John, when did you first know that you were psychic?
For me, it's slightly different. I was about 6 years old, and my father's very strict. He used to say at 6 o'clock at night you went to bed, so put me to bed at 6 o'clock at night in the middle of summer. As a little boy, I was very bored, and I was just laid in bed looking at the wallpaper, and I was like counting the flowers on the wallpaper, and you can imagine that kind of distracted my mind. So what happened then was, instead of being a little boy in bed, I switched out of time and space and went back probably 2,000 to 3,000 years, and I was suddenly by the side of a river. There was thousands of men dragging great concrete blocks across the desert, and I was not just a little boy. I was a big, strong man. In my hands was like some kind of document, and it was drawings, and I was directing. So somewhere in, I believe now that this was a flashback to a previous life. I tried to tell my parents what I'd seen, and my father was a Catholic. He didn't care too much for listening to that nonsense, and I was warned that in the event that I spoke of it again, I would be on the receiving end of a slap. So it made me physically ill, Kevin.
I bet it did, to sort of, to sort of veil that part of yourself off. But then, as a sort of younger man, I mean, obviously these psychic experiences must have grown as well.
The psychic experiences never left me, but I was unable to speak about them. It actually made me, as I said, physically sick. The next real psychic experience I had, I was a soldier in Germany, and I contracted influenza, and I was extremely ill. They were going to hospitalize me, but they said, if you can possibly manage, you can stay in your barrack room and the other soldiers will look after you. Well, of course they did, Kevin. They just left me alone. They thought I was having a laugh. I was seriously ill. Suddenly, I was no longer in a bedroom in a barrack blocks in Germany, which is where I was. I was out of my body, and I was flying around the world, and a voice said to me, "Where would you like to go?" And I said, "I'll go and see the Taj Mahal." We were there. Then, where would you like to go? I'll go and see Paris. I was there. The next thing he said, "Come on, where would you like to go now?" This voice was beside me. And I said, "I'd like to go and see my grandparents," who were alive at the time. So we flew, and it was like coming into like Superman flying over the country. And we landed about 500 yards from my grandparents' house, and I felt as if I weighed about 5 times heavier than I really was, and I couldn't walk. And a beautiful lady in a white dress with long black hair came up to me and took me by the hand, and she said, "You've got a decision to make. Do you want to go on, or do you want to go back to your body?" Well, I really wanted to go and see my grandparents, but I knew that I couldn't do that. I had to go back to my body, because I realized then that was not in a physical body. So I said, "No, I'll go back to my body." And suddenly, I was back in Germany. I'd fallen out of bed. I was on the floor. But the question is, Kevin, if I had said I'd like to go on and see my grandparents, we wouldn't be having this conversation today.
Okay. So where was your shift then to get into doing the psychic work that sort of led you to where you are now? What shift did you go through to sort of say, right, enough's enough. This is who I am, and I'm going to go down that road?
Extremely strange experience happened to me. I was amputated. I lost my right leg. I had an accident and it turned to gangrene. And whilst I was in hospital trying to recover from the septicemia, I had a near-death experience in which I was in the world beyond. And in the world beyond, I was in an airport lounge, and everybody was getting up, being interviewed by people and going onto the plane until it came to my turn. I went in, and they interviewed me. I said, "It's not my turn to go. I'm not ready to die." And they said, "Well, everybody who comes in here says that. So what are you going to do if we send you back that would be different?" And it came straight into my head. I am going to resurrect the pop singer, PJ Proby. And there were 3 of these people sat behind a desk. They looked at each other and said, "That's very interesting. Would you take a seat outside? We're going to consider sending you back on a mission." So I sat down outside, big airport lounge. Everybody got up until there was only me left. And the voice came over the tannoy saying, "Mr. Sutton, will you take your seat? We are waiting to depart." And I wouldn't go, because I said, "Oh no, I've seen these people." They said, "I'm going back on a mission." And I was back in my body in the hospital, profoundly ill. I was in a wheelchair for 12 months, and I was virtually on the edge of death then. But I retrained and got a teaching certificate. I was working for Lancashire County Council, and somebody phoned me up and said, "Guess who's living at Bolton?" I said, "Go on, who's living at Bolton? Then go on, PJ Proby." So I wrote a song for him. I knew then that that was my mission. I had to do it. And I did resurrect PJ Proby. I recorded him. We put an album out. We had a single out. I was on television with him. They made a documentary about it, Granada TV. It was all over. BMG distributed the recordings internationally. And suddenly, PJ Proby was back. I had done exactly what I said I would do. And to my door started appearing psychics from all over the place, knocking on my door saying, "The spirit world say, John, it's now time for you to work." And that is how I started to work for spirit.
Okay, so that was your sort of well, the concrete evidence for you that what you came back to do, you did. So obviously, where you did go, this airport lounge or however you want to term it, there must have been more than just this consciousness as we see it on this level. So this opened you up like a valve, did it?
It opened me up as soon as I started to work with psychics. A gentleman came from Bolton called James Byrne, and he said, "The spirit world has sent me." Shortly before that, my friend went to Gambia on holiday, and he went on a safari, and he went to see a witch doctor. He thought it was just a bit of fun. The witch doctor said to him, "In England, there is a man with one leg. His name is John. When you get back, you know this man. You must go and tell him that the spirit world say it's time to work." James Byrne came to me. He said, "The spirit world have sent me. It's time to work." And myself and James Byrne, he was a very gifted professional medium.
Yeah.
We worked together. I wrote his book, The Psychic World of James Byrne. Amazingly, against all the odds, I got it published by HarperCollins, one of the biggest publishers in the world. It went international. We did the London Palladium. We toured all the major '1 theatres in the UK. And whilst I was doing that, there was a man following me round. Do you know what that man's name was?
Not Derek Acora, was it?
Derek Acora.
It was Derek Acora. Okay, I got that
Derek
right.
Acora was following me round the circuit, asking me to be his manager, and I was just too busy. But eventually, James Byrne went his way and I went mine. I wrote a series of books. In fact, I was in the same office as J.K. Rowling. We had the same editor, Barry Cunningham at Bloomsbury, and he commissioned me to write my very best-selling book of all time, which was Psychic Pets, and that's what got me into America.
Okay, and okay, with the Psychic Pets, then just tell us briefly about that book.
What I've been doing was I'm the feature editor of a newspaper. It's surprisingly how quickly, because I have always been a gifted writer, could always write. I started to work with James Byrne, and I was asked to write a series of articles for a newspaper called Psychic World, which is the Journal of Spiritualism. What I did then was, because I was doing all these articles, it came to me that people were sending letters in telling me about their experiences, and I got a number of letters about people's interaction with pets. So I had a literary agent, which is not easy to get, and I had a literary agent and sent all these stories to my literary agent. She contacted Bloomsbury. Barry Cunningham sent for me. I was there the same week as J.K. Rowling. She got Harry Potter, I got Psychic Pets. That's the luck of the draw, eh?
Well, I mean, obviously, it's been a book that's helped people. I mean, I'm always interested in the whole idea of, pets and, do they have a soul? Does their life continue like ours does when we pass on? And does it?
Absolutely, it does. I've just published another book now called Paranormal Pets. If anybody wants to have a look on the internet, on Amazon, you can see the front cover of the book. And on the front cover of the book, there is a ghost of my late dog, my little Scottish Terrier, materializing at the side of my long white hair. As you can see, I've got quite long hair. Well, for some reason or other, discarnate spirits seem to use my psychic energy. And on that occasion, when my wife took a picture of my hair, she said, "Get your hair cut. I'll show you what a mess it is." There was the dog. So yes, they do have spirits.
Yes.
They do have souls.
Yeah, they do. They do. I mean, obviously, from the time that you started out as even as a non-published psychic medium, you must have seen a great evolution in the whole subject.
When I first started out working with James Byrne and myself were the first two psychics ever to do a full 2-hour commercial radio show. There were people demonstrating outside the station. It was Red Rose Radio in Lancashire. It was in all the national press. There was absolute uproar. The headlines in the press stated, "Devil worshippers come to town." We weren't devil worshippers. If anybody's met James Byrne, he's a down-to-earth, likely lad, but he's definitely not a devil worshipper. We were actually doing what the spiritualists have been doing, but we were doing it on a massive commercial basis.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, do you find the whole subject's a lot more acceptable nowadays, or is it becoming acceptable, or, you know, has it sort of got to a stagnated point?
Well, if we go back 23, 24 years when I first started, this was a cottage industry.
Yeah.
This was people doing psychic readings in their back kitchen for 50p or a couple of pound. Certainly that's where James Byrne was when he came to me. But within a very short period of time, we'd entered into a completely different field. Within 18 months of James Byrne coming to me, I was on television with James Whale, and we were conducting psychic experiments all across the UK, double-page features in the News of the World. It was massive news. As I say, HarperCollins published us, and off we went.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you've appeared on numerous, you know, sort of UK and international TV shows. And I guess, is that where you met Wayne as well?
It is. One of the best shows I did was the early Richard and Judy, which I did when Richard and Judy were on This Morning. I enjoyed that tremendously. The experience of going to America. I mean, I got to America, and then I was met by the guy with a big limousine, a giant bouncer type fella, you know, drove me around. I said, "Do you get anybody famous in this car?" He said, "Well, where you're sitting now, last week it was Colin Powell, the Secretary of State." So I'd got the exact same star treatment as Colin Powell, and believe me, it was absolutely fantastic. So yes, I've done lots of television. I was invited to go to Budapest to do some work with the SOTV, following in the footsteps of Wayne Isaacs, and that is how we met. Because when I was there, everybody was trying to compare me to Wayne Isaacs, because we worked in quite a similar kind of way.
Yeah.
So I thought, when I came back, I thought, who is this Wayne Isaacs? I'll give him a ring. So I phoned him up, and we've been mates ever since.
Right, okay, okay. And how did you get your radio show as well? How did that start off?
Well, that was one of Wayne's better ideas. He has some good ideas, but that's one of his better ideas, yeah. He suggested that we might try and get a series in America, which we want to work in America, because, believe me, it's something else working in America, as you will know, Kevin, in the future, because that's where you're going to. Little psychic prediction there. So I contacted CBS, sent our CVs off. The executive producer phoned me and Wayne up. We had a little chat. They said, "Yes, I think we can do it," and we've done it.
Yeah, I wanted to get into that about America, not about myself, but that's very nice of you to say that. And we will ask Wayne when we get back. But it just seems to be a lot more open over there. I mean, do you find that?
In America, it is in certain places, but certain parts of America, my book is banned. My books are banned. In the Bible Belt, they will not, you just don't discuss it, you know, certain parts of America. But generally speaking, and you have to advertise it as being for entertainment only. They're very strict about that. In certain parts of New York, you're not allowed to practice as a clairvoyant. It's considered to be illegal there. But generally speaking, when we go onto the radio with CBS, very much like your show, they broadcast a disclaimer at the start. This is for entertainment purposes only, and we're clear to do it.
Right, okay. All right. Well, I'm going to get both you and Wayne on, so stay sat where you are, and just after the break, I'll be joined by both Wayne and back with John G. Sutton, so stay tuned, and we'll be right back.
The Moore Show is in partnership with Ozark Mountain Publishing, taking readers beyond the unexplained.
If you like what you watch, then don't forget to follow us on Facebook and Twitter for the latest updates on The Moore Show. Remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel for new weekly television and radio shows.
The Moore Show is supported by Mindscape, Paranormal, and UFO Matrix magazines. Available for download on all major digital platforms. Broadcasting from the studios of Radio Cardiff, you're now watching The Moore Show.
Welcome back to the show. I'm now joined by both hosts of the John Wayne Psychic Show, broadcast from Detroit, author and TV mediums Wayne Isaac and John G Sutton. Wayne, welcome back to the show.
Thank you, Kevin. Hello there.
And John, welcome back.
Hi, Kevin. Thank you.
Okay, guys, a couple of quick questions now. Belief in God. Do you both, in your own way, believe in the idea of God or a universal consciousness? And I'll put that to Wayne to begin with.
Well, I was born with a faith, and that faith is obviously Jewish. But you know, I believe that when you go into the spiritual side of things, I believe that. I do believe in a universal energy. I also believe in God as well, and I just think what I do is not really a religion. I like to think of it as being like an add-on to what I already believe in, such as God.
Okay.
You know, so yeah, I hope that makes sense.
Okay, and John?
Right, well, I do absolutely know that there is an energy out there, but I would call it an energy of love. And believe me, I've been nearly dead twice, and each time I've been on the periphery, like in the waiting room between this world and the next, nobody has ever asked me what I believe in. They ask me what I've done with my life. They ask me what did you do? Did you help anybody? What was your mission in life? But they never say to me, what do I believe in? So I do not believe, you know, that there is a specific religion that can say we have the pathway to the divine paradise that we all dream of. I believe that it's just a natural progression, and there's not necessarily what I would call an entity that we could say this is God. I believe it is a force of love, and that's what waits for us all in the world beyond.
Okay, so for example, Wayne, then you could say that we are all part. You know, swap the word God for the universe. You know, just personify it, for example, right? So you know, we are all part of that universal energy. Our soul is part of this energy that John's talking about there. Would you say?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I believe that we're all connected on the same energy. You know. But you know, I believe that we have different levels of energy. You know, I believe that we can create our own energy, and I believe sometimes people, you know, sometimes if people are going through depression or you know are feeling low, they've lost that energy, and they need somebody with a higher energy to sort of build them back up. To feeling more positive, and that's where the healing work comes in. I mean, you know, myself and John, you know, we do healing as well. So it's a massive topic, but I believe that, you know, I work for the highest good. I work for divine spirit. I have my guides, and I do what I can to try and make people's lives just that little bit better in the messages that I give them. I don't have all the answers. I can't, you know, I haven't got a magic wand. Sometimes people have to help themselves, and you know, if people need medical help, they need to go and see a doctor. If people want money, they need to go and see a bank manager. So there's certain things that I cannot deal with. I am only human as well, you know.
Well, John, just touching on what Wayne said there about, you know, that we are all one. I mean, that's an important subject in the show that I do as well, to the sense that, you know, imagine how the world would change overnight if we, you know, just came from that universal force of love, like you've touched upon as well, and that,
Absolutely.
you know, that we are all connected, and that what we do to another, we do to ourselves. You know, and if we just felt that connection that Wayne talks about there, that oneness, then we would never feel alone again. We would never you know treat each other as badly as we do sometimes, because there would be that universal force of love.
There is a universal force of love, and it's just that it's been hidden. I absolutely do not believe that we should be taking children at an early age and teaching them that there is only one path. And that's incorrect to me. We should all be one. There should be integration. that it should be completely and utterly secular. Education should be secular. It should not be divided into religious schools. And as long as we've got that, we're going to have divisions in society. I absolutely believe that there is one power, and as you've identified, Kevin, and I mentioned earlier, that is the power of love. Eventually, the truth will come through, and there will be no religions. There will be one belief that there is a divine force that's called love. We call it God. We might call it Allah. We might, whatever we do call it, yeah? But that is the force that exists. And it is a natural force. It has got nothing to do with belief and everything to do with the natural energy of the universe. And we are all part of that. I believe in aliens. They're laughing at us. They're laughing at what we're doing, murdering people because of religious beliefs. It's an absolute offense against your mortal soul. Believe me.
Well, then that comes to the question, Wayne, as well. Why do you think we're here? Why do we incarnate on planet Earth? I mean, have you ever asked yourself that question?
I have actually. In fact, I had someone else ask me that after reading I did with somebody today, funny enough. And I believe we are here to try and make the world a little bit better. I also believe that we're here to try and give a message out to help as many people as we can. I believe we've all got different lessons that we need to learn, and I believe we have to make mistakes, because when we make mistakes, it makes us stronger. But I believe if we can love another human being and just, it might be something like, smiling at someone, asking how their day is. It might be bending over backwards and doing someone a special deed. Like, for example, I help out with the elderly. I do a lot of work with Help the Aged, and I drive mini buses round and take them, to places. But that, I do that because I want to do it. I don't do it, there's no financial gain. I do it because I want to give something back to society and help as many people as I can. So I give up my time and I do charity work because that makes me feel that I'm doing something to change people's lives.
Okay.
It's only a little bit, but
yeah.
If I could, I'd help people 24 hours a day. But then I wouldn't have a home. I wouldn't be able to eat.
Well,
so much I can do.
That comes down to the self. That comes down to self-love as well. I mean, there is a balance, I would say, and you've got to make sure that's there as well, because you can't just give, because unfortunately people will take. But there's obviously there's a balance. But okay, well, John, just moving on to a different subject here as well. Do you believe, I mean, the process of manifestation, is that something we all have the ability to do?
I don't think that manifestation is it isn't very common, especially not these days. There used to be materialization mediums. So Helen Duncan was a materialization medium who materialized a sailor during the Second World War, who told her, the people in the seance, that his ship had sunk and he was dead. Now, the War Department had not announced that this ship had sunk, and subsequently they arrested Helen Duncan, who they accused of being a witch, when in actual fact what they were doing was preventing her from giving any further information that could possibly be of benefit to the enemy, because she was a natural gifted materialization medium, and she was bringing back people who had been killed, who the War Department had not acknowledged were dead, nor the ship sunk. So that's why Helen Duncan was imprisoned. She was the last lady to be imprisoned as a witch. They've scrapped the Witchcraft Act now. The Fraudulent Mediums Act replaced that in 1952. But Helen Duncan was persecuted for materialization. Materializations are happening around me. Certain photographs are being taken, usually by my wife. We work in conjunction, and you can see spirits materializing around me. I have personally seen the fully materialized body of my father, who died at the age of 44, and when he was alive, he was a Catholic. He isn't a Catholic now. He is no longer a Catholic. He's a spirit. He looks about 25 years of age, and he's fit. I see him very regularly. He acts as one of my spirit guides and comes through to me. Other people have actually seen photographs of the spirits that have materialized around me. If you look on our website, which is john-wayne.us, in there in the gallery you can see photographs of spirits. There's links to it. just have a look at our website, John-Wayne. Materialization is real.
Okay.
It is not very common.
Well, we'll link that up onto the page once this interview is over as well. Okay, well, going back to yourself, Wayne, I suppose, your work as a medium, do you feel that it makes, when someone's lost a loved one, for example, do you feel it makes the whole process a bit more understandable in a sense?
I think it doesn't make it easy understandable for everybody. I think sometimes people have to go through, grieving, and there is a right time to get a reading. As far as it making it understandable, I don't think you can ever accept that someone that you love very, very much is no longer there unless they were to appear in front of you, which is not possible. But I do feel that the process of giving that person that little bit of comfort, knowing that they are still around them but they can't see them, I think that really does kind of put like a nice warmth around that person. It makes them feel a little bit better. It's not a cure. But it makes their life a bit easier going forward, and bringing a little bit of closure into accepting that they are no longer here, but they are on the spirit side of life. I think we have to be a little bit careful when people rule their lives by and are having hundreds of readings with loads of psychic mediums, thinking that they're going to come through all the time. And I think it can be a problem for a lot of people that go into it a little bit too deeply. So when I do a consultation, I would never want to keep reading for somebody.
Yeah.
I would never want to give them health advice and say whether they're going to have a baby and whether it's going to be a boy or a girl, or give them a health diagnosis, or tell them they're going to win the lottery. I think there's certain things as a professional medium we have to be accountable for, and sometimes say no to people. No, we can't do this. I'm sorry. I think you get a lot more respect that way rather than just reading anybody and everybody that comes your way.
And I guess that's been a learning process for yourself as well.
Well, it's been a learning process, but it's something that, because I went to Tony Stockwell's training course, and I've done a lot of these development courses. It's something that I learned straight away. It's not something that I have done and made mistakes, because I got it right. When I first started out on this, I joined a spiritualist movement, a non-profitable organisation, the SNU, and I joined the circle, and I sat there for about 2.5 years, and I learned to do things the right way by being shown what can and can't be done, because obviously there are rules that we must follow. There's no you can't get struck off if you do something wrong, but I believe there is the right practices that we must be doing if we're going to be doing this work and dealing with vulnerable sometimes and very sensitive people.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, well, I'm cautious of time here, so John, just tell us a bit about the show, please, that you're doing.
The John Wayne Psychic Show. Yeah, you can actually hear it on the internet. It's broadcast over the radio, FM radio across America. It features Wayne Isaacs and myself. What we're doing, we always have a theme for the week. This coming week, that's on Wednesday night. It's at 7 p.m. Eastern time, which is 000 hours midnight in the UK. And Wayne and Isaacs this week are going to be talking about the darker side of mediumship, with encounters in very weird places. Like I've encountered ghosts in Strange Ways Jail and Wormwood Scrubs when I was working with the Home Office, and Wayne has certainly met some very spooky individuals. He met the ghost of a hangman when he was in Budapest, in the House of Terror, right in the middle of Hungary.
Oh my gosh!
So our radio show discusses many different subjects, and we take calls from around America. People ring in Wayne gives them a psychic message, or I do. It's an interesting show, the John Wayne Psychic Show. Google it, people.
I like the name. And where would you like to go with the show?
Well, I believe that we're going to end up in Las Vegas, believe it or not. We're going to have the John Wayne Psychic Show in Las Vegas. I'm trying to get us a season there. That's where I want it to go. That
would be absolutely wonderful, yeah. Yeah, so you'd be prepared to not sell up house, but to immigrate just for a little bit. It's I can't blame you. The weather would be nice. Okay, gentlemen, and just do you have individual websites as well, or do you just use the same one?
Well, it's john-wayne.us. That's the website for the John Wayne Psychic Show.
Okay. And Wayne, for your book, is that linked up on your website?
It is on the john-wayne.us website, but you can go on Amazon and just put "I'm not mad, I'm psychic," or just put "Psychic Wayne" in the search tab, and it will come up. It's £5.77, and it's a Kindle download.
Oh, wonderful! So they can just download the digital version. That's fantastic. Well, gentlemen, just thank you so much for joining us this evening.
Thank you.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure. Thank you.
Stay tuned, as after the break I'll be joined by Italian-American photojournalist and investigative reporter in the field of extraterrestrial-related phenomena, researcher Paula Harris. So stay tuned.
Visit themoreshow.co.uk/shop to purchase products and services from your favourite past guests. If you're new to this site, you can also catch up on the previous television and radio shows through YouTube and the More Show website.